Welcome to An Awful World, but not awful like you think.
This is the show where we discuss whether we would have discovered important advances in a world exclusively full of Haylies and Libbys. I'm Haylie.
And I'm Libby.
And today
we're talking about
calendars.
Woo! Such an exciting topic. No, but really it is. I'm actually super excited to talk about it.
Yeah. I would like you to go first because you were just in Mexico.
Yes.
So I know you have thoughts on the Mayan calendar.
I have so many thoughts on the Mayan calendar. And I just feel like I should forewarn any of the listeners who are, 80% people I know. That was a low ball. 95% of the people who listen are people I know. So I'm sure they all are like, God, stop talking about Chichen Itza, but I can't. And so this is like the perfectly irrelevant topic for talking about Chichen Itza. So we're doing it. Okay. So here's where I'll start is that ancient civilizations have used calendars. Calendars have been around for a really long time, at least 5,000 years, we think. All the smart people use them, the Sumerians, the Egyptians, of course, because they thought of everything, the Romans, and the Mayans, of all people. So, for the people who don't know about Chichen Itza, what a place. If you look it up, it's like the quintessential, like what you think of when you think like Mayan temple, like that's Chichen Itza.
Yeah.
And so that main temple that I can't think of the name of right now, that I knew for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look it up, it's really, really cool. And it's much bigger in person than it looks like in pictures. But what blew my mind was when we were going there, they were kind of like giving us little information about it on the way. And what happens is during the equinox or the solstice, so summer solstice or winter equinox, the shadows from the sun align perfectly that it looks like a snake all the way down the steps of Chichen Itza. And at the bottom, there is a snake head. And that is how they knew that it was either time to plant or harvest, depending on which, if it was
interesting,
the solstice or the equinox.
So, okay, because their like temperatures and everything are very different than here in the good old Midwest. I would assume that the winter solstice would be planting.
That's a good question. I
would assume you were harvesting for summer.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No, because I think the way it happens, now I could be wrong about this. And maybe there's more than one like equinox a year, right? Isn't there like there's one for each season or something?
There's one for each season.
So maybe that's what it is, that they're like planting in the spring and then harvesting in the fall.
Okay.
So maybe it's not summer and winter equinoxes. In any case, I found that amazing.
Yeah.
And afterwards, when I was like reading about Chichen Itza and the Mayans, some of the articles were like, well, we're not sure if they intentionally did that, with the temple to make the snake. And I'm like, but then that's quite the coincidence.
Right.
I think you should give the Mayan people more credit than that because it was absolutely intentional. Like they even talked about the way that the temple doesn't face like true north. It faces magnetic north, which means that they had figured out A, what magnetic north was.
Right.
And B, that the earth was on an axis and that impacted the way the sun would hit the temple. Like there's just nothing coincidental about that to me.
No. Well, and what I researched about the Mayan calendar is that it is the most accurate calendar known. And today, currently, we all use the Gregorian calendar. The Mayan calendar is more accurate than the Gregorian calendar.
Yeah.
So why are we not using that?
Why aren't we using it? Great question. And like, so apparently I think there are still like 6 million-ish Mayan people or descendants of Mayan people that live in the world, and they do still use the Mayan calendar. It is also a very like day-by-day calendar, but the way the timekeeping system that they came up with is crazy to me. So like with the temple, there's like so many steps on each side, which equates to a day or a month of the year. So it all adds up to I think 360.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had 5 extra days that were like special days, holy days, which was a thing in some other civilization, I think. The Egyptians.
Yeah.
It was kind of the same thing. Those 5 extra days are actually, I think right now, I think it's like August 1st through the 5th for them.
Interesting.
And people who are born on those days were considered to be special people born on those holy days. And our guide was telling us this, and he's like, was anyone born between August 1st and August 5th? And only one person raised his hand. And he's like, great, you're a special person. So special, in fact, that the Mayans would have actually sacrificed you. So all the people born on those days, like that was like, you were considered like so holy that you were to be sacrificed. And it was an honor to be sacrificed. So I just thought that was really funny, and I had to share that. But it is crazy that like the temple was designed like that. And this was, I think that Chichen Itza was built between like, I don't know, it took them like 200 years, like 940 to 11 something AD. So like, you know, a while ago, but not as long as some other civilizations.
Right.
But they got it pretty close. Yeah. To what we use now.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you're listening, I mean, double check me on the special days, but I'm pretty sure it's the 1st through the 5th of August. You may have been sacrificed to the Mayan gods.
That would include our boss.
Yikes.
His birthday today.
Yikes, Alu.
Yeah. Special shout out. You know who you are.
Happy birthday. We hope you're not sacrificed by the Mayans today.
Right.
Hey, listener, if you're in the Indianapolis area looking for warm photos of you and your loved ones, you're going to want to check out Hey Blondie. Hey Blondie is committed to capturing people from all walks of life through all stages of life, from a new baby to graduation. Check out HeyBlondiePhoto.com for more information and give them a like on Facebook and Instagram at Hey Blondie Photo. So yeah, anyway, other ancient civilizations, like the Egyptians we brought up. I don't know if this is what you read, but the Egyptians basically had what's closest to what we use now.
Mm-hmm.
They had 365 days, 12 months of about 30 days with 5 or 6 days added at the end to account for, you know, the whole quarter, 364 and a quarter situation.
Yeah. No, 365 and a quarter.
Yes, 365 and a quarter. You're correct. Yes.
Which is how we get leap day.
Yeah, leap day.
Leap day. Which I know that we have been asked, would we think of leap day? What do you think?
I mean, all I can think of right now is that TikTok sound of Michael Jackson that's like, none of it's true. Come on, none of it's true. Because I have absolutely, first of all, let's just back it way up. Calendars in an awful world. You're telling me, I mean, really think about like some of the most ancient calendars. Okay, we're talking all the people we just mentioned, but the way that they measured time. Mm-hmm. So the Mayans using their Chichen Itza temple to measure time. The first English, I don't know what those people were called, but they used Stonehenge to measure time.
Is that what that was for?
I think so. I think that's what we believe it's for.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if we know for sure. And then, you know, like Romans would use sundials and things like that.
Yeah.
There is no part of me that understands any of that, even right now.
Me either. But the second you said sundial, I just thought of Hercules when that guy like flashes his trench coat and is like, wanna buy a sundial?
Yes. All roads lead to Hercules. Somebody call IXII.
That's right. That's when Libby was like, yes, we're going to be friends.
Yes. This woman understands me. But yeah, like there's no chance that we are going to figure. I'm sorry, Haylie. I think that we would figure out there are clearly 4 seasons.
Yes.
Like we're understanding like this time of year it's cold and this time of year it's more mild and then it gets really, really hot and then it gets more mild again.
Yeah.
And then it's really cold again. Like I think that's a pattern that we would understand.
Yes, I think we would definitely figure out the seasons. I think we would figure out the solstices. We would definitely figure out that this is like the longest day we've had.
That's
and
true.
And this is the shortest day that we've had. Those we could figure out 100%. Because even now I get up in the morning in the summer and I'm like, yay, it's bright when I wake up and it's bright like at 9 o'clock at night, and I love it and I love it. And now it is starting to get darker in the mornings and I'm getting sad about it.
The sadness is creeping in.
Yes, it is slowly starting now.
It's coming.
So everyone prepare.
Which is so
in 2
funny.
months I'm gonna be real sad.
I was like sweltering yesterday, and then I was like, God, I can't wait for it to be fall. I love fall so much. But anyway.
Don't.
Neither here nor there.
I'm more of a springtime girly. Really, I'm a summer girly. But if we're talking spring and fall, I want spring because I'm like, yay, it's getting lighter. It's getting warmer. It's getting more colorful. I don't want to just be like, yay, all my plants are dead.
Oh, see, I like it when everything starts to die.
Oh.
All the bugs and all of the...
I do like when the bugs die.
Heat dies.
I don't like when the heat dies. The heat is my favorite. I want to be warm forever.
I know you do.
Forever warm.
So, yeah. That's neither here nor there about the seasons. Maybe we should do an episode on that. I don't know. But I think we would have come up with that. We just addressed it. So now we don't need to do an episode on that. That just occurred. That just occurred to me. That's it. And that's your episode on seasons. Seasons, the mini-sode within the episode.
That's right.
But I don't think that I'm looking at the sun and I'm like, what do you know? This time of year, it comes from exactly that spot. Like,
I know.
No.
Here's the thing, because I know we've talked about stars before, because people are like, oh, well, all the astronomers, because apparently astronomers had a big play in calendars, is what I learned.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like I'm looking at the stars and these are the ones I am seeing every time this year.
Yeah.
And it's constantly changing. And I know that we've talked about this before, and I'm like, there is no way that I am looking up at the sky. I don't care how bored I am. You could say right now, for the rest of time, you don't have to work. You don't have to like do anything you don't want to, but you do have to look at the sky every night. And like, you're totally fine for the rest of your life. I'm still going to be like, yep, there's still a bunch of dots up there.
Yep. What do you know? And then you move on with your life.
Yeah. I'm not going to, there is no point in me that like, if I looked at the sky today and then I looked at the sky 6 months from now, that I'd be like, that's a different sky. It looks exactly the same to me.
Now, let me ask you this, though, because this is something that I do think we'd notice, and I'm curious if you agree. The phases of the moon. Do you think we notice that?
Yes, that I do notice.
Obviously, we're not stupid people. We're going to notice the sun sets, or it rises every day. It goes across the sky. It sets every day.
Yeah.
And then there's a period of nighttime. So I think we figure out, the number of hours, which would not be in an increment of 60.
No, that doesn't
stupid.
Fucking even make sense.
So stupid. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
In an awful world, though, it's not going to be an hour of 60 minutes.
No.
We'd figure out some
It's
other.
It's going to be a much better system.
Yeah, way better. Ha. But apparently, and this is how the Mayans got it down so well, was the moon. Because the moon has a 30-day cycle. And then they were like, well, that's interesting. That happens 12 times. And then it's like the same time of year again. So before time of year was like really a concept, I guess. But yeah, I just thought that was really interesting.
Interesting.
They really like believed in the power of the moon.
Yeah.
Which is like, I never thought about this. The tour guide was like, that's where the word lunatic comes from. Is like, because they believed that the moon was so influential, it could make people crazy.
Oh.
Lunatic.
Had no idea.
The more you know.
Yeah, I would never have thought that. See, and I was going to ask you, why do you think we have 12 months? Because
that's why.
Yeah, so you just answered that. Because
that's
I was
why.
like, don't you think 13 would make more sense? Because if you divide 365 by 13, it's like 13.01.
Yeah, it's more evenly.
It's more even.
Yeah.
We would just have 13 months of 28 days. And you know what that syncs up with? The female menstrual cycle.
I was just going to go, periods?
Yes.
But then I panicked. And I thought you were going to say something totally different. And I was like, panic. Yeah, which is also just wild.
Which it is wild. But if you think about it, more than likely, don't you think we would have a matriarchal society?
More than likely, 100%.
100%. Like we're going to fucking let men be in charge? Gross.
No. Absolutely not.
But so don't you think that we would be like, we should have a 28-day month to match with the matriarchal society?
Yeah, probably. That's true.
So that's where I was thinking.
Yeah,
so I was
hadn't thought about that.
Divides so much more evenly. But I didn't know that 12 months was because of the moon.
Yeah, it was because it goes in a phase of 30 days. And so it was typically 12 months of 30 days.
Then how come February's 28 days, sometimes 29, and some other months are 20 or 31 and 30, and I never know how many days are in a month?
I know. Well, it's because half of the months minus one have an extra day, right?
Yeah.
So they're all to account for that extra 5. And then a quarter is what happens with the leap day. Is that we have to make up for 4 of a quarter, which is a whole, right? Obviously, you know these things. You know fraction. Yeah. You're hip to the fractions. So that's where that came from, which I think when we started using, so after, well, around the same time as the Mayans, which is here in the Western world, right? In Central America. In the Eastern part of the world, we're talking Europe, Rome, Empire, whatever. We have the Julian calendar first.
Yes.
From Julius Caesar.
Yes.
That calendar, I wrote some things down about it, hopefully. But that calendar was like hella off.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it went by the sun instead of the moon, which I think is very interesting.
It is interesting.
The Mayans were much closer because they went off the moon as opposed to the sun. So this is the funniest thing, though. So the Gregorian calendar gets put into place in 1582. And it was like really slow to spread because the Gregorian calendar is named after Pope Gregory VIII. And so obviously the Catholic Church was like, Gregorian calendar, let's do it. Whoops, I just whacked my mic stand. So hopefully that didn't, I'm doing a lot of hand movements. I really wish you could see me. I am the earth, I'm the sun, I'm the moon. So anyway, the Gregorian calendar, the Pope, is like, okay, we're going to make this a thing. We're doing this calendar. And obviously people, especially the Protestants, were like hella skeptical. Because they're like, we're not going to do what the Pope says, but actually the calendar is pretty good. But when we switch from the Julian calendar to the Gregorian calendar in the Eastern world, these people went to sleep and it was October 4th or something? No, I have to find it because it's so hysterical. And it would be helpful if my notes were better, but they're really not. Oh, yes, October 4th. Okay. They go to sleep on October 4th. They wake up and they're like, surprise! It's October 15th now. Because the Julian calendar over time had piled up so much of being off that they had to jump ahead a little bit in the Gregorian calendar.
That's so fun. You know what's so weird about that?
What?
So my husband's mom's birthday is October 1st.
Okay.
October 4th. My husband's birthday, October 15th.
So it was just a jump.
Yeah.
Imagine though how pissed you'd be in 1582 if your birthday was October 5th. And you're like, the fuck?
Everybody in that week and a half was like, okay, well, fuck me, I guess.
Yes. But apparently they were like, it's okay though, because it's Friday now. I swear to you, that's literally you woke up and it was like, but it's Friday, so everything's going to be fine.
So everyone go home, it's the weekend.
Yeah. And people were just like, all right, that's fine. Works for me.
That's so
Isn't
funny.
Isn't that nuts?
That is nuts.
That blew my mind.
That's so funny.
And made me laugh very hard. But yeah, so apparently solar calendar is the most accurate calendar that we have.
The solar calendar?
The solar calendar. But it's not the calendar we use. We still use the Gregorian calendar, as you know.
I thought the lunar calendar was the more accurate.
Well, it was then. Certainly more accurate than the Julian calendar.
Yeah.
But now it's the solar calendar. I don't really know what that means, so I don't ask me, please. Because I don't know. You're just going to have to find out for yourself. But I did read that the Gregorian calendar is only off each year by about 26 seconds. So it's pretty damn good.
All right. I'll take that. Now, because we've been talking a lot about lunar and solar, here comes my next question that was asked by one of our listeners. Ooh. Shout out. Do you think we could come up with some sort of calendar that would predict eclipses?
Haylie, none of it's true. Of course not. Of course not.
Now, no. Here's the thing, though.
No.
I'm just going to try to see if maybe we could. Let's just chat about it for a second.
Hit me with it.
So, the Mayans, they were apparently very good at predicting the eclipses.
They're good at a lot of things.
I know.
Like bamboozling me out of $160. But that's neither here nor there.
Do you think the Mayan Haylies and Libbys of the world, because we're there.
Of course.
Because we're everybody.
We're in Central America.
We are every woman.
Yeah.
So
every woman.
So we are the Mayan Haylies and Libbys of the world.
It's all in me.
And we are making calendars.
I don't know why we're churning them out.
Yeah,
we're in the calendar factory. We are making calendars.
Got our own little factory going.
Just get money.
And people want to know about the eclipses. Now, the original Mayans, who are not Haylies and Libbys, sorry. They are watching the eclipses and they're writing it down every time they see one.
Mm-hmm.
And then they realize, this seems like a pattern at some point. I don't know when.
Yeah.
But they must have, my thinking is they already have a calendar of some sorts, and then they're marking on their calendars when these eclipses are and what they look like. And then they're using that to figure out ones in the future using math. They looked that up.
Shit, when you put it like that.
They came up with math equations.
Math. So here's the thing about eclipses. I hear what you're saying, and I think, yes, people over time are observing, holy shit, the sun falls out of the sky, on this day, and we're going to write that down. We're going to write down every time it happens. Yes.
That's right. Henny penny. The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Exactly. Chicken Little, if you will. But the thing about eclipses is they don't happen every year. They don't happen during the same time of year, and they certainly don't happen in the same place in the world repeatedly every year or on any kind of. So here's my problem. I don't fully understand why eclipses happen now, other than
they just line up.
Right. I understand
two ships
that.
Passing in the night.
I understand that the Earth is passing between the moon and the sun.
Yeah.
Right.
They're all being attention whores, and they're all trying to get in front of each other.
But I don't know if I would figure out that. First of all, I'm not confident that I could figure out that we are revolving around the sun or that the moon is revolving around us. Maybe I could figure that part out. The moon's revolving around us because it looks like this every day. It moves across the sky the same way, but so does the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not hard to see why people felt like the universe was revolving around the Earth.
Right.
Because we think everything's about us.
That's true.
And it is.
So
tell me everything is not about me. But what if it is? So I think that it's really not hard to see why people would have thought that.
Right.
In ancient times. Would we have ever figured out that actually the universe is heliocentric? I don't know. And I think that that's essential to figuring out when eclipses are going to happen.
No, but here's the thing. You just said eclipses happen different times in different parts of the world and whatever. What if we started a letter writing campaign?
Here's the thing. Are the Libbys of the world going to be curious enough to be like, hey guys, hey Libbys and Haylies over in Africa. Have you ever noticed the sun just disappearing from the sky for 20-ish minutes and then coming back?
You don't think that back when we have not that much to do besides discover things, that is not going to be a huge talking point of your day? Remember the eclipse this year? How long did it take for us to all shut up about it?
Months.
Because it was the coolest thing I feel like I have ever witnessed in my life. And you think that And
you just fell out of a coconut tree?
That's right. But you think that in a world where you didn't see this coming, you didn't know it was coming because we had so much warning for that eclipse.
Yeah.
But if one day we just woke up and then like around noon, the sun just disappeared, that you wouldn't spend like years of your life trying to figure out what just happened and then like telling everyone about it and be like, did you fucking see that? Did you
see what I saw?
Anytime you came across...
I know what I saw.
Exactly. Anytime you came across somebody who was not from where you were from, don't you think you'd be like, did you see last summer?
Were you there when oh my God, do you remember? Yes. That was, no, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
The like little half-see ones or whatever.
Yeah.
Not as much because I'm like, if you're not looking, would you really see it?
Well, now the counter that I have to that is when the little half-see ones happen, it makes the shadows look like little crescents.
That's
true. So I think we would be like, the fuck
that's
is going on here?
That was our first day of law school.
It was. The sun fell out of the sky. It was a bad omen.
Yes.
Of things to come. No, I'm kidding. But yes, that did the first solar eclipse was August 21st, 2017.
Yeah.
Because I believe it was my mother's birthday. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I hear what you're saying, but I think that you're operating off the assumption that in an awful world, we would have this like grand form of like transportation and communication that would make it easy for us to talk to people from other parts of the world.
That's
because
true.
Yes, if we're the Indiana Haylies and Libbys.
Yes.
And we trek on our carriage because we've already invented the wheel.
Yes.
Over to the Illinois Haylies and Libbys.
Yeah.
They did see a portion of that.
Yeah.
But if we
different.
could talk to the Haylies and Libbys in Japan, they would be like, what are you talking about, you crazy people?
I know. But then years later, they would have one at some point and they'd be like, oh my God, those insane women were right.
The crazy ones were onto something. Lunatics.
That's right. I don't know. I guess we're going to have to do a whole episode on like mail.
Yeah. Oh, we sure will, because that's going to come into play for other things that we have coming up.
Definitely.
That I thought it is interesting and I haven't really considered before the role that plays in our understanding of like, particularly, astronomy and like weather phenomena.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's a weather phenomenon.
What we need is a weather phenomenon. No, we don't need that.
No, we definitely don't. We've had enough.
Yes, we've had enough of that. I was like, oh my God, this is gibberish. And then I realized my notebook was upside down. So it has been a long few weeks, listeners, but all fun things. So, yeah, I don't think I have a ton left to say about calendars other than I think it's so amazing. I think I just am perpetually fascinated and impressed by the Egyptians, the Romans, the Mayans. And this is why people think that like aliens helped them out, because how on earth did they figure that out?
I think people just had more time to be observant.
Yeah,
honestly.
You're right.
Because not to knock anybody who was discovering any of these things, especially calendars. This is really hard. And I don't think that we could do it.
No, I don't
Not
think we could
like
either.
this. We would have the seasons, things like that.
It would not be this down to the, off by 26 seconds Gregorian calendar.
No. But I think that sometimes it's kind of like, did you discover or did you just like notice? Or were you just the first one to say it out loud? Kind of a thing, Yeah.
And I think that so much of this is owed to thousands of years of study of things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I don't want to discredit us in saying that we wouldn't come up with it. As with my current sensibilities, as I sit here today, my sensibilities, but also my like access to technology and things like that. Maybe. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe. But that's not the world we're talking about. We're talking about an awful world, and things are very different in an awful world than they are here.
That's true.
So I just think, yes, you're right. It's owed to the fact that over thousands of years, people have just been observing and noticing, and then they talk to each other about, did you see this? And and then they try to get together and figure out together what's going on. And it's still bananas to me. I'm very impressed.
I am too.
By the ancient people.
Yes, 100%. Especially in a time where they weren't really able to ask people across the world.
No.
That kind of stuff.
Not at all.
Dang, they were really in their area, and that is what they have to go off of. Not information and documentation from everyone across the world who's looking at the same stuff.
Which I think is why so much of it is tied to, religion and their belief in gods, because, this is what they spend all day doing. Like you said, is looking at the sky and studying it. And to them, I'm sure it must have seemed like, this is exactly what's happening. And like that influence has carried through in the Gregorian calendar. The names of our months are named, some of them after like, I think Roman gods, because obviously, the Pope, Rome, that Catholic influence there. And then some of them are just like misnomers, which I thought was interesting. So like October is really supposed to be for like the 8th month of the year, but it's the 10th month of the year.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you think that in this regular world that we live in that we'll ever change it again to like account for that 26 seconds? Or are we like, we have it good enough?
I could see it changing, but that's probably because I also see like the downfall of current society happening at some point, and eventually we'll all just move on to a new system.
Yeah, maybe.
Something else will take over. Some new like regime or something will take over after the collapse of our current civilization. And
I know you're right, but you're scaring me.
And they'll implement a new system. Why not us?
I hope it's us. Happy thoughts.
No.
Happy thoughts for all.
I know that I'm always the downer who's like, this is all coming to an end.
This will end someday soon.
That's right.
Nothing you do matters.
Exactly.
That's not true.
Do crime.
I knew that that's what you were going to take from it. And I just wanted to say that is not true. Do not commit crimes. Be good to people.
That's right. For legal reasons. That was a joke. Do not do crime.
Upon the advice of counsel, Haylie is not allowed to speak further on the issue of crime.
But I do have one final question about calendars.
Okay.
Do you think that our new year would start in the winter?
That's a good question. And that whole thing comes from the Julian calendar. It's been January since then. No, I don't. I think that it would start in the spring.
I agree.
Yeah, because that's the like new beginnings. Things start to
rebirth.
Yes, and then winter's when things die.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's how I always thought. I feel like the spring equinox would be the best time to be like, this is the new year.
Yes, everything. The days are now starting to become longer.
Yes.
Yeah, everything. Although that does happen in like December, right? It's like late December.
December.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also,
but it's not like noticeable really until like March.
Right. And I just feel like that is when, you start to come out of that seasonal funk.
Yeah.
And
because it's getting warm. And
it's getting brighter.
The leaves are growing back on the trees.
And like birds are chirping, little baby animals are being born. And
it's a scene straight from Snow White.
Yes. And it's very cute.
Yeah.
Straight from Bambi,
Yeah. And I definitely think it would be in the spring because that just makes more sense. I'm not sure. I didn't look into like why we were just like, and January will be it.
Yeah, but I don't know because that's never made sense to me.
Yeah, like, winter, spring, summer, fall.
Like once March hits, that is usually about the time that I'm like, all right, it's a new year.
It's time. Yeah,
because
we're like
all of winter. I'm like, this is the end of the year.
No, that's totally fair.
I think because it's so cold and it's so dark, bleak. I'm like, this is just the end of all
everything.
Time.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Yes, we're on the same page about that for sure.
Cool. So in an awful world, would we have calendars? Probably not. We would have something.
We would have some way of keeping time.
Yes.
But not
definitely seasons.
Yes.
A seasonal calendar, if you will.
Perhaps not as sophisticated. Actually, scratch that. Definitely not as sophisticated as the calendars that were developed by the ancient people or by the, Romans in the 1500s.
I actually just realized I have one more question.
Okay, please hit me with it.
When do you think our days would start over? Because did you know they used to go noon to noon?
That's gross.
Right? Like it's halfway through the day and then you're just like, now it's tomorrow.
You just have a day of sunlight and then a day of darkness and then a day of sunlight and then a day of, I don't like that.
Yeah.
No. I'm not sure we'd come up with the 24-hour thing. Actually, again, I'm confident we wouldn't come up with the 24-hour thing because I don't know where that came from. No. Yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I don't know. I don't know what our days would look like.
I feel like they would.
I feel like, actually, here's what I think it would look like. I think it would start when the sun, or it would end when the sun goes down and start when the sun comes back up.
So night is just like no man's land?
No. So like the sun comes up.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. I was like, no, there's time in between there.
So it would be like sunrise to sunrise.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Yes,
okay.
That is what I was trying to say.
Like, you just said sunrise to sunset.
Oh my God. And the night counts for nothing, you dumb bitch.
And in the night, laws don't matter. Again, do crime.
Haylie is super into this, like, what was that movie? Where it was like, and for one day a year.
Oh, The Purge.
Yeah. Haylie is like, and every night is the purge.
That's right.
No, that's on me. That's what I was trying to say, is that it starts like it's
at sunrise.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, but the issue is, because I agree it should start at sunrise, but sunrise is a different time every day.
I know.
So in the winter, the day wouldn't start until like 7:30.
Exactly. And it shouldn't. Okay. Like,
I agree. In the winter, we should have to do less.
Yes. Thank you. I don't want to have to get out of bed. I just want to sit and I want to drink warm coffee by a fireplace and I want to be left alone.
That's right. I don't want to drink warm coffee, but I do want to be left alone.
Yes.
If I could be any animal, I would be a bear.
A bear.
Because
so you
I
could just
could
hibernate.
I could eat all the snacks I wanted in the fall. I could hibernate all winter, and then you just like wake up in spring with your beach bod.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love
I'm
that. And
so
then I can
on
just
board with
frolic
that.
and play all summer.
And then once that little tail comes back in the air, you just boop, 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 right back into your cave.
That's right. I'm like, I'm done.
I am done. Yeah, no, this whole calendar thing is exhausting.
Yeah.
I think I would give up on it way before I got too far. I'd be like, I don't know, you guys. I know it comes up at a different time every day, but what even is time? And then I would just throw my hands up and walk away.
I'd be like, that's what we're trying to figure out.
I know.
What is time?
Haylie's like the problem solver in this situation. And I'm just like, just forget it. Who gives a fuck?
My big thing is we have to have something because I love and live by a schedule.
And it's so funny because I do too.
I know.
And like, it's like, I am the person that's like, someone's like, what are you up to this weekend? And I'm like, it depends. What are you going to ask me to do?
Yeah.
Because in my mind, I had already scheduled sitting on my couch for 6 hours on Saturday. And so if you're going to interfere with that, it's probably going to be a no. So it makes me sound like a terrible person that I'm like, let me see what the offer is first. And then, but like, I live by that mentally, this is my plan. Like, for this night, I'm going to be doing this thing. Yes. And that's where I plan to be. And if you're going to come in and try to fuck that up within, only 24 to 48 hours, I'm not about that.
I totally get it. I need notice.
Yeah. Yeah, so I do like the structure of having, it's just, I don't know where it all comes from. This whole like 7 days, 4 weeks-ish.
The week, 7 days, that's nonsense. Why would we not use...
Why are there so many different numbers, Haylie?
I don't, and the thing is if we were going to be using like a 30-day month, why are they not like 10-day weeks?
Yes.
Or if it's 28, but if you do 28, doesn't that divide by 7?
Yeah, it does.
So maybe that's what it is. But then now we have like 30 and 31.
I think we've just fucked it all up.
I think so too.
Probably should just scratch it and start over. And I think that the work week should be 2 days.
I agree.
That's my suggestion for an awful world. 2-day work week, 8-day weekend, 10-day weeks.
100%.
So put me down for that. I just don't understand where all the different numbers come from. I don't like numbers.
I know. It's going to be real rough when we do a math episode.
Oh my God, just count me out.
Pythagorean theorem.
I don't even know how an abacus works, okay?
Me either. But growing up, we had 2 dogs and their names were Abby and Gus. And so I'd call them the Abagus.
And that's the kind of world I want to live in.
It's just my fun little fact on the abacus.
Fun little fact that only pertains to you.
Yeah, I know.
And not about any knowledge about the abacus or its contributions to the world of math.
Just that my dog's name kind of sounded like it.
So that's calendars in an awful world. It is awfully messed up.
That's right.
But great in its own way.
I think we would have something.
Yeah.
It would not be this. I can tell you that.
No,
we would never get here.
No. Yeah. And this is all operating on the assumption that we know how to count.
Which we can do.
Yeah. But what would we be like? We'd be like, and we'll call this 2. And we'll call this 3. Like,
that's for the math episode.
Yeah. So tune into that one, guys. God, I hope we make it there.
Yeah.
To the math.
So many things just rely on it. So we got to get there. But
absolutely. So many.
Calendars.
The world relies on it. Yeah. Yeesh. All right. See you next time. Yeah.
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 Wow.